Okay, so where are we? We did OSPF, we did network security, access control list, and what is one wide area network connection that we're seeing? One concept. This one we must delete it. This one is very old now. We should put fiber, we should put 5G, not the old. Okay, we'll try to make it very short. This one is very old. No, we don't even do that anymore. Okay, anyway. Network troubleshooting. What is there? Network troubleshooting, documentation. Yeah, um, so the last chapter for configuration is what we're going to do. After this chapter, we don't have any configs to do anymore. So if you know your OSPF, you know your access control list, you know your network address translation, that's all. Because anything else is only theory. So we because of the first and quickly summarize for you network address translations. So let me use this. So let's say we have this network, and I'm going to put this guy here. Also this guy here, this guy here. No, that's this one. So sharing, creating, and I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete this. And okay, let's say something is here. And this one I'm going to delete. If you go in NetAccount, it's a lot of stuff to read, but I make it simple for you. So this is a small network, and guys, we need to go to the internet. Oh, Okay, sorry, seems like I lost connectivity. So I'm going to share again my screen. Okay. So I was saying that we have the network, and these guys, we need to go to the internet. I put here internet. Correct. Yeah. So what is network? You see, network address or IP address translation. If I speak Chinese to you, you want to understand. You need a translator to change that Chinese in English. So translate is to change. So it will be same thing for this IP stuff. Network address, we're going to change them. Network address translation, we're going to change IP address to something else. Why do we need to change? You see, all these PCs, you see these IPs, all these IP addresses, they have IPv4. And IPv4, these guys, you can see, it's private IP addresses. As you know, private IP addresses were not allowed to go to the internet. Private IP addresses are not allowed to go to the internet. So to go to internet, you need a public IP address. So if BC1 has a private and you want to go to the internet using that IP, it's impossible. You won't be able to go. BC2 has a private IP. You want to go to internet, impossible. So the translation is what? This private, when it reaches the router will change it to public. Now it can go to the internet. So this chapter is very simple. Changing or network address translation equal changing private IP address to public to go to the internet. If you understand that, you understood 50% of this chapter. So what chapter is that? Of chapter 6. If you understand this, 50% you understood already. So network address translations equal changing. Okay. Oh no, I made a mistake here. I'm going to remove. Yeah, changing private IP to public IP. To public IP to be allowed to go to the internet. So this guy has a private. He wants to go to internet. When it reaches the data, the packet will arrive at the router will change it to say, for example, I'm going to put an example. And for example, 192.168.10.1 will be changed or translated to maybe let's say 190 190 2021. Sorry, sorry guys. So it means this private, when it reaches the router will change it, will be to this public IP to go to the internet. So if you understood this, 50% done. Now, how to change now? It's where the deal is. How to change? We have three. Let me check if the recording is still there. Okay, the recording is still there. Now to change, we have three solutions. Three solutions. What is it? This one. Right. Okay. My internet is hanging today, and this laptop also. So we have three ways to change. We have what we call static NAT. We have what we call dynamic NAT. And we have PAT, port address translations. We can do it via one interface, or we can do it via a pool. First thing first, network address translations, it means I'm going to change a public to a private, a private to a public to go to the internet. Changing a private IP to a public IP to go to the internet. Now, we have three ways to change. Or translate. Three solutions. One, we call it static NAT, static network, static NAT. Second one is dynamic. NAT. And the last one is PAT, or port address translations. You have a choice between one interface or pool. That's all. So this chapter is about changing private to a public to go to the internet. Now to change how it will work from the router, we can use a static NAT, dynamic NAT, or a PAT. That's all. If you understand this one, you have 75% of chapter 6 done. The last 25% is how to configure NAT, how to configure each of them. Now the last 25% is how to configure each of them. So I'll just show you some configs I explained, and we are done. And next time we're going to do some examples. So let's start with static NAT. Static NAT, it's 1 to 1. So what does it mean? It means I have one PC here. If you want to go to the internet, I'm going to put this guy here. This one also down here. So if PC1 want to go to the internet, when the packet with that IP will reach the router, the router will assign a public address to go. So let's say the cost of public IP equal, it's just an example, 10,000 rand. Let's say the cost of a public IP is 10,000 rand. You, as the business, you have three, this guy, and this guy. So if you use static NAT, one private will need one public. One private will need its personal, his dedicated public. One private will need it. So it means you need to buy three public IP addresses. You need to pay 30,000 rand. You see, you have only three. Now let's say you have 100 employees. It means you have to pay 1 million rent just to allow people to go to the no. That is too much. So the first option, static NAT, is one private to one public. It's not quite a good option. If it's a small network and you can afford, it's fine. So how to do the configuration? It's very simple also. Let me check if I can see chapter 6. I'll show you something very simple and you are done. As a network engineer, you should remember per class which one is private, the range. You should remember that. I'm going to show you something to make it simple. So you see here, for example, base 3 guys, 1, 2, 3. If you use static NAT, static is what? One private will be changed to one. See, one will be changed. See? So it's very expensive. If you have a small network, can afford, it's fine. But if you have many users, it's too much. So at the router, we need to do a configuration for that. So how to do it? It's very simple. I'll show you an example. So first thing first, you must tell the router which interface is facing your inside network. You see interface, IP address, IP NAT inside. Now the router will see, this port is facing the inside network. You tell the router also interface serial 011, the IP address, this one is facing the outside. Then the router knows where he stands. Then you do IP NAT inside source static. This private will be changed to this public. This is how it works for static NAT. First thing first, you tell the router which interface of the router is inside, facing my network, outside, facing the internet, and you start configuring this to say this private will be changed to this public to go to internet. Look, you can take 1 minute to check, to read again, and we continue. Okay, so this is a configuration that you should be, you should know from now on. So in a company, okay, always I'll explain a bit. Let's say verify static NAT. When you finish doing your config and you tap to verify, show IP NAT translation. Oh, why you want to restart this guy? Show IP NAT translations. Then you'll see inside local. This is the IP of a PC, my private network, my private IP. inside global has been changed. Anytime you see inside, it means what is belong to you. My PCs, my router, inside, my inside network. Local, it's a private. Global is public. See? So inside my network, I have that local IP, that private, that will be changed to this one. So now, from here, it can go out to internet. So this is an example. The second example, instead of doing one-to-one, so we'll do some labs. So I want to make it very simple for you. If not, it's a bit confusing. So we started with what? What is the definition of NAT? Changing private to IP. How to change? We have three options. The first option is static NAT, one private to one public, one private to one public, but it's costly. So second option is dynamic NAT. Dynamic NAT, how it works. Dynamic NAT, also you tell the router which interface is facing your inside network, like here. You see, interface G, interface G00 is facing my inside. So I'll go to that interface and I'll type the IP address, and IP NAT inside is facing. The other interface is IP NAT outside because it's facing the internet, the outside my network. So don't get confused. So you tell the router which interface is inside, which one is outside. Now, because it's a dynamic, we need a pool. A pool is what? Let's say I have this maybe 10 IPs. I have a pool of valid pool of public IP. So if I have only one in my pool, and this guy is using, these two guys must wait for this PC to release the public, and one can take it. So if I have, let's say, 20 public IP address that I purchased, and in my company I have 100 people, the first 20 guys who want to go to internet will use, and the 80 remaining will need to wait. So I have a pool of valid public. So to configure, you tell the router which interface is inside the side. Then you create your pool, IP NAT pool, you give a name. You specify your pool, 200.226 until 200.240. You specify your pool, net mask or subnet mask. Then you create an access list. I remember, because I want anyone from my inside network to go out. So this one we use a standard access list. Remember what we did? We use a standard access list. So access list 1, permit anyone in my network, wildcard mask. So I create my pool. I want to allow anyone in my network to go out. Then you bind them, you combine them. IP NAT inside source list. You see, my access list ID 1. You put it here. all NAT. It means anyone in my network, they are allowed to go out by using one of these public IP in my pool. So let me check if I can find it here for you. You can start reading this one first before we continue. Yes, Tony.
Good evening, Max. Good evening, all. Hi, Max. I'm a bit blunt today, man. Um, I don't quite understand. That pool, that net pool one, right? Can you hear me, Max?
Yes, NAT pool 1 is the name of your pool.
Yes, no. The IP address is there.
Yeah,
That's already global, right?
yeah, public, yes, global, yeah.
Yes, that's your public one.
Yeah.
So how did you get that?
Okay, so this one is an example. So
Yes.
you can buy from your ISP. You purchase from your ISP. You go to for example MTN. Hi MTN. I'm a business guy. I need public IP addresses. Can you please? We can say okay. One public is 10,000 trend. So okay, I can afford 10. Give me 10, and we'll give you the 10, and this 10. Then you put them here. The first one will start from.
Okay, Max. Okay, Max. So if I understand it correctly, you've got your private IP address, and then once you configure, you already have your public address as well, IP address, and then you can create your pool.
Yes. So you must get your public first. Then you create the pool to say, okay, my public, it starts from 200, you see, 209.165.200.226. So from 226 to 240. So it means this one is valid 227, 228, 28, 29, 30 until 240. It's what I have. So I purchased, I make my pool, and I allow anyone to go out by using one of these IPs. That's why we have these 3 steps.
So Max,
Yeah.
will they still charge you like in the static net? Will they still charge you per IP
Yes.
or okay?
No, you go. So you go to them. You say, MTN. I want, for example, 10 IP public. We say, okay, one public IP is 10,000 trend. And you, the businessman, you say, okay, I can afford 5. You say, okay, it will be 50,000 trend. They give you. Now it's up to you, the IT engineer, to play around from the router to work. You see, your provider sells, done. Now you come and you make all these configs. You make all these configs. So no worries, I will do that many times. We'll do that. The first time it's a bit confusing. Not only you, even myself. It took time for me to. So for dynamic, I have a pool. It's not one-to-one like in the static. So let's say I have 10 users and I have 5 valid public. So inside my network, I have 10 guys. If they all want to go to internet, the first 5 first, they use one, each of them will go to internet. The other 5 remaining in my company, they wait. They cannot go to internet. When one of these public is free, then we can use. So let's finish first, and I think you're going to understand. So please, okay, check this on 1 minute, and we continue. So this is the first step. You create your pool with with a name, you create your access list, and you combine both of them. Step number 4 and 5. Me, I prefer starting here from your router. You tell me which one is inside, which are outside, then you create one. But anyway, it's up to you too. So this is how we configure dynamic NAT. We'll do a lot of labs, so no worries. So now we are done for this. If you want to verify, I prefer making simple because sometimes if you read this here, you can get lost. I'm telling you. So you see here, for example, if I tap show IP NAT translations, this IP 10.10 and 10.11, two guys, two private inside my network. Each of them, they used one public. So this one will use this one will use this one. The others, if I have only two public and I have 10, the other one won't be able to go to internet because these two are taken already. One of these pieces must release, then for someone else to take it and to go. So it's a bit annoying sometimes. That's why we created the third one. The third one, that is PAT, port address translations. Port address translation, all of us, we can use only one public IP. So I go to my ISP, say, hi, sir, MTN, I need one IP, one public. So, okay, 10,000, it's fine. Even if in your company you're 100 or 200, all of you, you're going to use that single public IP. Now, how the router will know that you see, so we're going to use a port. Okay, Tony, you want to go to internet, this is the public IP, but your port is 200. This guy want to go to internet, okay, use that single IP, your port is 3333. You see, so the router will use that single IP to allow anyone to go, but each connection will be identified by a port. You see, by a port. So that public IP can be your exit interface, you see, or you can also get a pool of valid public IP addresses, but each connection is identified by a port ID. That's all. Normally, that's all for this chapter. Anything else that we need to do is to practice. We take the static, we do a lab, we check. When we are done, we do dynamic, we do 1 or 2 labs. Then we go stage 3, we do a PAT. We do, and it takes time, so it's not in one day. So we have a lot of time to do. We'll spend the time on. So I'll show you an example of config. So for now, it's just to understand the concept. The concept. So PAT, we have 2 ways. You can use a single IPv4. This is how it works. You tell the router which interface is outside or inside. Then you can create your access list, one, to permit anyone in my network to go out. Don't forget the wildcard mask. What is very critical, you see, IP NAT inside source list 1 related to your access list. You must all use your exit interface that is a public IP. Never forget overload. The overload means anyone can use one single IP, but each connection will be identified with a connection ID or a port number. Never forget overload. So check this example, 1 minute, and we continue. Even if you don't understand today, it's fine. We're going to repeat it, do some labs. Okay, so this is an example of how to configure. It's good to understand the concept. If you understand the concept, it's fine. Using the overload, very, very important for the path. The last configuration is using the path with a pool. It's the same thing. You tell the router which interface is inside or outside. You create your access list to permit anyone in your network to go out. You create a pool of valid IPs. Then you combine with them. So with path, it means anyone can use any public at the same time, but each PC or each connection is identified or registered with a port ID. That's all. So you can read this one also. Let me go to the PowerPoint. So don't never mind if you don't understand for today. We repeat until you, because the very first time it's not easy. That's why I prefer giving you what is the most important here. If you go in AutoCAD now, you'll get lost because they explain a lot of other stuff. So I want to, yeah. So we will do this one. Then the path. Okay, check this one again. 1 minute. Okay, this is an example using a single. This one is using a pool. And we stop here for today. So you can read 2 minutes. This one is a bit long. Okay, I think that's all for today. We'll continue next time. You see, if you check this one, you can get lost. It's fine, but you must first understand the concept. When we do some labs, then you can jump in here too.
Hi, Max.
Yes,
Max, one last question before you close.
yes,
So the static net, all right?
yeah,
If say for argument's sake, I've got 10 uh, private IPs. and then obviously I get 10 public IPs to go to the internet. Can all of them go at the same time on to the internet?
For static,
Yes, for static, yes.
not for
The
static.
single.
For static, if you have three guys here, you'll need three public because
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
because if this one is using the other one, this one uh so if so let's say if you have only one public, and this one is using the only one public, these two they cannot do anything because for them to use the public, it's taken already, so they cannot go. So if they want to go, either the line is released, it's clear, then you see we cannot all of them go at the same time. No, but it's possible if you use the path. The path you can get only one private, and all of them will go at the same time out. So each of them, their connection will be identified with a port ID. Like this one, for example.
Now I've got you, Max. I got you.
Yeah,
The best option is the pet.
yeah, exactly. It's
Yes,
port number. Yeah,
I've got you. I got you.
yeah. So the best is the path, because the path anyone can go at the same time. It's what you want in your company. So to go out, they can use only one single IP. Only one single IP, use it maybe the exit or what, or they can use a pool of valid IPs. That's all. The only thing is here in your config, don't forget overload. It means anyone can use, it's overloaded. The interface or that public is overloaded by everyone in my company using it. So if you don't add overload, it won't work. Only one guy will use it, but if we overload, everyone can use it. So this is how it's configured. So in a nutshell, this is what you should know for this chapter, chapter 6. Network address translation is to translate means to change, change private to public. Now to change how it's done, static, one-to-one. In dynamic, you have a valid pool, but everyone can use only one public, or we can use a pool to go. So the most popular is the path.
Now, Mr. Max, if you have three end users, and you buy three static net public IP addresses, will all three be able to go into the network?
Yes, because each of them will use 111.
So PET you basically use in a large environment.
Yeah. If your company is very small and you have a cash to pay this thing, but usually everyone is using the PET address, so that you allow anyone to go out with only one single public. You save money, and it works. So that's all for today. Saturday, I'll see what kind of lab we can do. Let me check what our stuff. It was on your desktop now. Access CCNA3. Yeah. Using the stick. Yeah. Okay. So let me check if I can open it, just for us to read what is there. Is it open, this guy? Yes or no? Okay, it's open. Now for the practice, what kind of question is there? Let's check for NAT. For NAT, configure static NAT. Configure static NAT to translate the address of the internal server on LAN 1 to the public. You see, one-to-one static NAT. This one is very simple. One IP of the server to use this public. This one, you know, it's simple, it's this config. Static. So you tell the router which interface facing the internet, the outside, which interface facing the inside, and you type IP NAT inside source. Static, private will use the public. Simple. This one is not difficult. Now, B, create a NAT pool. This is the name. It should use this range. Also, very simple. It's this config. This config. You interface, you tell the router which inside, outside. You IP NAT pool, the name of the pool, the range, the subnet mask, but here you tap net mask. Your access list, ID to permit anyone in your network to go out. So you wildcard mask. Now you bind these two. IP NAT inside source. You must use the list one, access list one. You must use the pool and the pool name. Exactly the same thing. So normally this one, if Saturday we continue with the practice, 2 minutes we are done for NAT. Okay. Now the last question, C, configure NAT to dynamically use the addresses in the pool for all traffic entering and exiting the company network. Configure NAT to dynamically add the pool. So which one is a patch? Which one we can do later? Which one is a patch? So all traffic, so everyone must use the pool. If you hear anyone, automatically it's part, because with port address translation, everyone or anyone we can use. So port address translation, now you should specify using only one public, but here is a pool. It means it's this option. It's not, it's part with a pool. Part with a pool. So it's exactly this config you should do. That's all. Don't forget overload for part. Students will keep on forgetting. Overload, very important. It means anyone can use either one single public or anyone can use any from the pool. So yeah, that's all for this chapter. So we'll do some revisions. And so for students who connected late, we say that for your for this CCNA3, the only configurations you should know is from chapter 1 to 6. From chapter 7 to 14, it's only theory, no configuration. So you should know how to configure OSPF, access control list, and the NAT. You know that, you are done. Like here, part 1 OSPF. Normally, all of you for this exam, you should get 100%. Because this one, if you do many times, it's the same thing. To configure OSPF, you do this many times. NAT, it's very simple. How to configure static, dynamic, and PAT. And after that, we'll be doing a bit of access control list, and then this one is straightforward. Okay. Questions before we end? If you have a question, ask. Else, we meet on Saturday at CPUT. We'll be doing, I don't know what to be done, maybe revisions on PAT, network address translations. We'll do example of static, example of dynamic, and one example of PAT. Yeah, we'll do revision for chapter 6 on Saturday. Thank you very much, guys. Enjoy your evening and see you on Saturday. Don't forget to do your chapter exams.